Yeah, thank you so much, Naledi. You know, it was quite grim testimony that came out of Mthokozisi Twala. He didn't get quite to the moment where the scuffle between the gun-wielding intruder and Senzo Meyiwa turned lethal. And we're expecting that he'll get to that part of his testimony throughout the course of this morning today. But yesterday, the court really, there was quite a bit of tension in the morning with a disbarred advocate, Tefo, making an appearance inside the courtroom and demanding to speak to Judge Chifiwa Maumela, and also basically having, having conversations with the prosecutor as well as with some of the media people. And that line that he made yesterday, or he said yesterday, basically saying that it should not be treated like a banana republic or acting like monkeys. So we are expecting that Advocate Tefo will make another appearance today. It's still unclear what his role is. You'll recall that he was removed from this case and subsequently disbarred after several complaints were laid against him for his conduct in court and the way he'd been conducting himself throughout the trial during the main course of last year. So it's still unclear why he's here. He has still been disbanded. He has not applied yet for a review of his suspension or disbandment in court itself. So it'll be quite interesting to find out eventually from Advocate Tefo why exactly he's in court, since he's not representing any of the witnesses, any of the five suspects that have been arrested. He was quite reluctant to say anything. He was quite mum, and he almost seemed quite belligerent in open court, saying he's not going to discuss in open court what he's there to discuss with Judge Maumela about, and absolutely flat out refusing to engage with the media or even give insight to the media about what exactly his role there was. But in terms of the testimony from Mthokozisi Twala, we do know that Mthokozisi should be getting into the nitty-gritties itself of the scene that played out on the day that Meyiwa passed away or was gunned down or murdered on the 26th of October.
Yeah, and of course he went into quite a bit of detail yesterday, didn't he? And I think let's talk a little bit about what we're expecting to hear today. Some cross-examination. Are we there yet, do you think?
So we suspect that cross-examination is expected to happen from this afternoon. Some of the important points that were raised by Twala in his testimony is that he described what the gun-wielding intruder looked like. He said he was a relatively short, dark-skinned man who had dreadlocks and had a hat that was covering the dreadlocks. A hat that seemed to rest quite low over his eyes because he said he didn't quite get a clear view of the gunman's face. But he did say that the gunman came in quite aggressive. He said initially he thought that the gunman was known to the family, and once the gunman took out the gun and started demanding the money and the jewelry and the cell phones from the people inside the house, that's when he realized that the situation had turned really dangerous and turned lethal, would turn lethal. And he says it was quite interesting the way he described the scene leading up to Senzo Meyiwa's death. And he said that Zandi and her mother had taken the crutches of one other friend that was there, Tumelo Madlala, who was also a friend to Senzo Meyiwa, had taken Tumelo Madlala's crutches and had started trying to attack the gunman as well as attacking the second intruder that came into the house with a knife. And they were hitting him over the head with the crutches. And he explained that Kelly's eldest son, Christian, was in the kitchen during the time that Senzo Meyiwa was having a scuffle with the first intruder that was wielding a gun, and that he had tried to take Christian and remove Christian from the kitchen and put him in the bedroom for his own safety, as the youngest daughter, Tingo, was still asleep in the bedroom. And he said that he basically was describing a scene where he just froze while watching the scene that had happened. And he said as Senzo Meyiwa had approached the gunman to try and maybe wrestle the gun from him, they started moving towards the door. And it was quite interesting as well in his testimony where he explained that Longwe Twala that was there, who was the boyfriend to Zandi, who's Kelly's sister, the minute the first intruder came in, he got up and he ran out of the house. So this testimony by Mthokozisi is crucial. It is a time reference testimony. It is testimony that gives a different perspective. He's the second person to testify that was inside the house at the time of the shooting. So his testimony is going to be absolutely crucial in proving the state's case and in ensuring that he's able to identify at least one or two of the 5 suspects that are currently in court. So we'll get to hear, the story will start unraveling a little bit more in the afternoon when the defense lawyers start unpacking or picking apart different parts of his testimony, obviously in defense of their clients. So we are expecting another very interesting day today of testimony from Mthokozisi Twala. It is going to be extremely tense. There'll be a lot of information coming out. At certain points during his testimony yesterday, Mthokozisi was quite emotional, and we suspect today, this morning, when he continues with his testimony in chief, we expect that he will be even more emotional as he describes that crucial moment when Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed.